Welcome to this explainer. If you're running a micro or small enterprise, there is a very high chance you face the stress of an unpaid invoice. Today, we are going to look at exactly what your legal options are when that happens, focusing heavily on the massive 2026 MSMED Amendment Act. We're going to explore what protects you right now and what new powers you're about to get. Because we are going to explain everything in depth today, here's our roadmap. We'll be breaking down the delayed payment crisis, the existing laws protecting you, the 2026 amendment, the commencement notification trap, and wrapping up with your exact action plan for today.
Let's start with Section 1, the delayed payment crisis, looking at both the macro and micro problem.
You probably know the drill all too well. A customer owes you 10 lakh rupees. You check in and they just keep saying, "Oh, next week. We'll pay when our customer pays us." But you've got to keep delivering to keep the relationship alive, right? Meanwhile, your own bank account is just shrinking. It's not just a minor commercial disagreement. It is a severe cash flow bottleneck that literally threatens your survival.
And you know what? You're definitely not alone. According to the Economic Survey, a staggering 8.1 lakh crores is currently locked up in delayed MSME payments nationwide. I mean, to put that into perspective, that is a massive, systemic failure of liquidity. It's exactly why the government felt they had to step in. Moving right along to Section 2, existing laws protecting you, specifically the current legal framework.
Before you fire off that angry email to your customer, you've got to ask yourself, do you actually qualify for protection? You need to be an eligible MSE. Under the ministry's rules, that means having a valid Udyam registration as a micro or small enterprise. Now, keep in mind, this usually excludes wholesale and retail traders, so we're mainly talking about manufacturers and service providers here. Getting this baseline eligibility sorted is absolutely crucial before doing anything else.
So if you are eligible, the law is actually pretty strict. Day 0 is when your goods or services are accepted. From that exact moment, your buyer cannot delay payment beyond 45 days. That's it. That is the absolute maximum legal limit, regardless of whatever loose, extended terms they try to push on you. It essentially stops buyers from treating your delayed invoice like some kind of unlimited interest-free credit card.
But here's the real kicker. What happens when day 46 hits? If they breach that 45-day limit, you aren't just asking for a favor. You are legally entitled to statutory MSMED interest. Forget that standard 18% you might have scribbled on the invoice. We are talking about compound interest, set at 3 times the RBI bank rate, compounding every single month. It is aggressive, and more importantly, it legally overrides any weaker contracts your buyer tried to enforce.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 2026 Amendment explained, focusing on the structural system changes.
To really grasp why this amendment happened, we have to look at the massive execution gap in the old system. Sure, you had rights on paper, but the government's MSME online dispute resolution portal disposed of just 17 cases in its first 8 months. 17! A legal right is basically useless if it takes years to get the cash you need for this Friday's payroll. Parliament passed the 2026 amendment specifically to close that execution gap.
And because we really want to explain this in depth, let's look at the rigid new timelines designed to force the system to move. Step 1, mediation absolutely must finish in 90 days. If that fails, Step 2, it gets referred to arbitration within 30 days. And Step 3, the arbitral award has to be made within 90 days of pleadings finishing. The whole point here is to strictly shrink the time between starting a dispute and getting your final resolution.
Now, in the past, a big corporate buyer would just appeal the award and tie you up in court for another 5 years. Not anymore. The amended law mandates that if they want to challenge an award now, they have to pre-deposit 75% of the award amount up front. It completely financially punishes them for trying to use endless appeals merely as a delay tactic.
And it actually gets better, adding some incredible teeth with the 6-month rule. If that challenge just sits there pending for over 6 months, the court is literally obligated to release at least 50% of the awarded amount straight to the supplier from that deposit. It fundamentally shifts the balance of power back to the MSME, making sure you get some liquidity even while the legal fight is still happening.
The amendment also tries to boost liquidity by integrating TREDs for central public sector enterprises. Basically, you can electronically discount your eligible invoices, selling them to a bank to get cash faster. But let's be real here. This does introduce financing costs. You're taking a slight haircut on your own invoice to get the cash now. It helps with immediate liquidity, sure, but it doesn't magically cure the underlying disease of buyers paying late.
Now let's dive into Section 4, the commencement notification trap and the actual legal reality.
So you've probably seen the headline shouting that the new law has passed. And yes, it got presidential assent on August 13, 2026. But can you actually use it today? Well, no. You absolutely cannot just assume every single provision we just talked about is operational right now.
Here's the nuanced truth. These powerful new rights only come into legal force when the central government issues specific commencement notifications in the official gazette. And honestly, they can trigger different rules on totally different dates. So while the framework is law, you have to track the actual bureaucratic updates, not just the fact that the bill passed.
Finally, let's hit Section 5, your action plan today, covering immediate commercial steps.
If you're sitting on unpaid invoices right now, please don't just blast out a dozen emotional emails. Instead, build your immediate evidence file. Gather your UDM registration, the original purchase order, the invoice, clear delivery proof, and any emails where they acknowledge the debt. Calculate the principal plus that aggressive statutory interest and lay out a clean timeline. You want to make your case so perfectly clear that a neutral decision maker under the current system has absolutely zero doubts.
Because it all boils down to this fundamental rule: waiting is not a strategy. Thinking your buyer will eventually pay if you just give them one more week is the most dangerous assumption you can make. Every extra week you wait, their financing problem becomes your survival problem. You have to escalate commercially and use the formal dispute systems if you have to.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one absolutely critical question to figure out next. How do you actually calculate the exact compounding statutory MSMED interest that your buyer owes you? Knowing your rights is step one, but quantifying them down to the exact rupee is step two. Look into those calculations, build that evidence file, and go take control of your receivables.